All right, let's take a look here at permission rules. So Claude uses a tiered permission system that is tool-based access controls, or TBAC. And you won't find that anywhere on the internet because I just came up with it. So we all know RBAC, so role-based access controls, but the way the permissions work with Claude, it's all around their tools, okay? But here's an example of a permissions, and this would be in your settings.json. We saw it earlier in the settings.json section, but we're going to go deeper on this stuff. So permission levels are allow, ask, deny. It should be straightforward what they are, but let's just cover them. Allow means it's allowed to do it, right? Ask means ask the user if Claude's allowed to do it. Deny means you're not allowed to do it, okay? The rules are evaluated from deny, ask, allow. So what will be applied is what's either, we could say, least permissive or most restrictive. That's the same thing. I'm just saying it two different ways. So a deny will always rule over an ask and allow, and an ask will happen before an allow happens. So there you go. Where are the tools? Well, they're here. It's bash, it's read, it's edit. Those are two separate ones. I just have an editing issue there. We have web fetch, MCP, and agents, and specifically we're talking about sub-agents. Okay, so now we know that, and the next thing we need to cover is all the syntax sugar here so you can configure this perfectly, okay? Hey folks, let's take a look at syntax sugar for the bash tool. And specifically, we're talking about this wildcard function. So here's an example of permissions, and these are all bash commands. And you'll notice that bash takes a parameter. It's a tool, it can take inputs. And so what it's taking as an input is actually a bash command. So running npm run or get or whatever you could think of, it can do. But the thing that is a little bit different here is the fact that there's that wildcard there. That's that asterisk. And so basically anything can be substituted in there. You can put a wildcard before or after or in the middle. As you can see here, just get my pen tool out so we can point to it. So it's here, here, and here, so different spots. There's only one catch with this thing is you have to just be aware of spaces. So spaces do matter. So like if you have the command here, ls space asterisk, it will match this, ls-la, but it will not match lsof. Okay, so that's just one little caveat. Pretty straightforward. There you go. Let us take a look at the read and edit tools. So here we have a bunch of read and edits, and let's talk about the pattern for pathing that we can pass in here. And so there are 4 ways that you can do your pattern matching here for your paths. The first is with a double /. So this is going to be at the root of your file system. So normally when you're in Linux, just a single / would be at your root, but when we're doing this, we're using a double /, okay? If you want to work from your home directory, you're using tilde. That's a very common practice in Linux, okay? Then we just have a single /. This is gonna be at your project root, and so that can trip some people up, but that's what it does. Then we have your relative one, so that's your ./period or just nothing there, and that's pretty much it, okay? Let us take a look at the web fetch rule, technically tool. And so here's an example of us using web fetch across allow, ask, deny. And the only thing it really needs is a domain. And you'll notice it says domain, and then whatever it is. Maybe in the future, they'll have more things you can put in there, and that's all there is. And you'll notice one little thing down below here. Notice that we don't have any input for this. There's no parameters. And we'll probably make a separate slide on this just to make sure that you know. But if you have that, that just means that it's like a catch-all for everything. It's saying deny all for web fetch, or if you had it here, it'd be like ask for all, or if you had it here, it'd be like allow for all, okay? There you go. Let's take a look at bare name tool rules. So here we have our tools as rules, but notice that there's no parentheses or stuff like that. So when you have a bare tool name with no parentheses, that's going to give you total coverage. No domain filtering, no pattern. So web fetch is going to do all fetches, all domains. Read will do all reads, all files. Edits will do all files, all edits, right? Bash will do all bash commands. You're getting the picture here. MCP is the only one that's unusual where you'd have to say the name of it. So it's not just MPC __. That's not a thing. You still have to do an individual name. And I still don't know why there's one with a double underscore asterisk. It doesn't explain it in the docs, but there's a variant. So just be aware of the bare name tools. Hey folks, this is Andrew, and in this video, I want to go ahead and just test all the types of tools in our permissions and see if they work. So right now we have a settings.local.json file here, and we have some allows, so we can install anything we want. We have this database information, and we have this to fetch from Bright data. But I'm just going to back out here for a moment. I'm going to make a new directory. I keep doing this. This would be like hello world tasks. As you can see, we just keep making new ones to whatever we need to work our use case here. And I'm going to go ahead and make a new folder called .claude. As we learned, init's not going to help us there. We're going to have to make that ourselves. And I'm going to apply this all at the settings.local JSON level, okay? And so in here, I'm using permissions. Yes, I know we can use Claude to help us write permissions, but folks, we got to do a little bit of work ourselves, right? Permissions, and in here we have our allow, right? We have our deny, okay? And we have our ask. Okay, so right now we don't have really anything in these, of course. And there's obviously different tools. Oops. Tools that we have here. And I'm not sure why it's complaining like that. Maybe because there's nothing in them right now. That's probably why, because they're empty. Incorrect type for array. Oh, sorry. Array, that's why. Okay. So there we go. So now we are set up to start working with them. And technically the order is deny, ask allow, or ask allow, you know, however you want to order them. This is how I'm going to order them, okay? So now we have our permissions in here, or the start of permissions. So let's take a look first at bash. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here and just say bash, and we're going to deny it. And I'm going to go ahead here into a new terminal down below, and we will type in Claude to start it up. And I'll just say, you know, can you run a bash command in the project directory for ls, okay? And so we want to see what happens here. So I explicitly told it, just go ahead and run this single command. So I don't have access to the bash tool in this environment. I can use the glob tool to list files. And so the project directory contains only one file. So it found a way around it because it obviously has other tools available to us, but that is something that it could do. How about we just make a new file here? This will just be data.json. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just make some data in here. So I'm going to go and say HP 100, make a value there, MP 300, class mage. Okay, so just random data. I mean, obviously for RPG, but random data that we have here. And so I'm going to go back here and say, can you use JQ to return back .hp data from the data.json file. Okay, and so it might try to find another way around it. So it says I don't have a bash tool available to run JQ, but I can read the file and show you the HP directly. And so it found another way around it, which is awesome. So what we'll do is we will take this and we will permit it. We'll just say that we'll go and move it to ask, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so we'll go back and try this again. And it didn't ask us, right? So I'm thinking that maybe the data is cached. Okay, so I'll go back over here and say, can you use the JQ file to read MP data? Because it might be trying to work around the problem. And it didn't ask us. So are you using the MP, the JQ tool, Or are you relying on something like cache? Because I'm trying to test it for that, right? Each time there's no cache involved, each executes the thing. Okay, you can verify this yourself. But it's confusing because we've told it that it has to ask us if it wants to be able to do that. But maybe it has to do with our mode, right? Because I think it's the first time it asks a tool, that's where we run into an issue. So I think what we need to do is figure out what is going to be our mode setting. Now we can toggle with Shift Tab here. And here it says accepts edits on or plan mode on. But I think the challenge here is that we need to make it a little bit more explicit. So I need to figure out what all the permission modes are. I know we have a slide on it, so let me just go grab that slide really quick so we can compare it. I know it comes later on here, or maybe we've already done it. We'll see here. But our permission modes is default. So standard behavior prompts for permissions on first use of each tool. Okay. We have accepts edits, automatically accepts file edits, plan. Claude can analyze but not modify files and execute commands. Auto denies unless pre-approved via permissions. Auto denies tools. So let's go ahead. Well, this is don't ask. We have bypass permissions. So skip all permissions. And so it's strange because if it's been asked once before, it's not going to explicitly ask again. I'm not sure how we force it to ask. Let me see if there's anything we can do to make sure we can test that behavior. Oh, you know what I think the problem is? Human error. Look, there's a colon on the inside. You probably saw this the entire time. So we'll go back here, and it was probably me. Okay, and we'll go back and ask it to do this now. So now, here we go. So permission rule, do you want? We'll say yes. Okay, and so now another thing we learned was that it's not caching it every time, right? So it's going to ask it every single time. So we'll go back over here. Can you return the HP data? So we want to see if it prompts us, right? We'll say yes. We get the data back. We'll move it over to here. Okay. And we'll try this again. And so another thing we confirmed is that we can update our settings JSON and will take effect immediately. There were some cases, I think, where if we hadn't created it and we created it after the fact, it didn't work. But clearly, we can change this file and it's reading it every single time. So that is really useful to know. So we have those. Let's talk about the read. So we'll just say, we'll deny read. I'll make another one here. This will be player data. So we'll rename this to player. And then I'll make a new one. We'll call this world JSON. And in here, we'll just say location, like current location, town, right? So we're in a town. And we'll go back over to here. And so we're going to deny all reads. So can you return the contents of world JSON for me? And maybe it'll find another way around using bash. Okay, and so it's returned back that data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bash command. I'm going to put it over here. Okay, and so in theory, it won't be able to use bash, so it can't use cat or anything else to get to it. So go ahead here, and then we'll try this again. Because we've denied it on two things, bash and read. Okay, it's thinking hard. I also should start typing clear here because we're just experimenting. Because it's adding that context every time, right? And there we go. So here it says tool use. Import JSON, world JSON, allow, allow whatever. So it's trying to execute code in a very roundabout way. I'm not exactly sure. So it's ID execute tool. So it's trying to find another way to work. That's really confusing. So what I'm going to do to stop this, I'm going to clear this out. So we have no context. We can check it again, just make sure that it's emptied. Okay, see, it's nice and emptied. We're going to try that again. Okay, because I think it's trying to find a way around it, right? It's trying to search the file. It's not allowed to read it. See? What? It read it. But we have those on deny, right? I'm going to stop this and restart it up, as we're just trying to get a reliable sense of reading it. Okay, how are you able to read the file when I have deny for read, bash, and read? Okay, that's what I want to know. Can it even answer me that? I use the grep tool, not read or bash. I search the pattern for it in the file, which effectively turns it. So grep is a separate tool from read. Oh, okay, but it's not under bash. Grep is its own dedicated tools. Okay, tools. How do I get a list of all available tools? Because I didn't see that in the docs. And so we have this here. Look at that. Doc maps, skills.md. It's trying to find, it doesn't even know what tools are available. This is where I would probably like start going into the code base. So we go Claude Code, GitHub. Isn't that interesting? We have a tool that we're not aware of. It's not in the docs. And so I'd go in here and I might just go search this code base. I'm going to hit period on my keyboard. I'm logged into GitHub. And I'm not asking Claude to do it. I'm just doing it myself. I don't want to wait around asking it to look in the code base. And so I'm going to go here and I'm just going to, yeah, that's fine. Let's just get me logged in here. I just want to quickly search across this repo. So find in files, grep. Right, I'm just trying to see if that finds us anything. Quickly here. So here we have glob, we have grep. Oh, I didn't cover these. I'm gonna have to go make an additional video just to cover the ones that are missing. Okay, but we have docs here that explains it. So, you know, I would have thought that there would have been a very specific place for this. How did I miss these? Am I crazy? Here we have read, write, grep, glob, bash, agent, web fetch, web search, task, notebook. Okay. Claude Code tools. Oh. Hold on here. Permission required. Oh, wow. We have way more rules than I thought. Okay. Maybe my confusion was when I was doing the permissions, I didn't realize how many tools there are. So I guess I will need to go back and correct that. But it seems like we have a lot more tools available to us. And we'd have to go here and say like, no glob, no glob, right? And then we would need no grep to get this to work, right? So we'll go back and I'm going to ask it again. Cool. More slides I got to make. More slides. Looks like you've denied it as well for bash. So what I'll do is now I will bring in the readme, just the read, and we'll say allow. But you're basically getting the idea of how this works. It's not complicated, right? But I guess you'd have to really test it and make sure. So with bash and read, can you read it? I don't have the remaining tools I can use to retrieve it. So it needs a combination of tools to achieve its goals. So that's really, really interesting. So I will need to go back and retroactively update this. So you'll know by the time you watch this that there is obviously a bunch of tools, or I'll follow it right after this video here. But we're getting an idea of how this works, right? We didn't deny the bash stuff, so we can go here and deny very specific tooling. But I'll just go here and bring these back. And we'll just do one more test here. We'll be like JQ is denied, or maybe just like J asterisk. So okay, so go ahead and I'm just going to go back and say like read with the JQ tool, and so it should be denied here. So it's denied. Okay, so I think we got some experience here, and I have a missing spot here. Probably the next video we'll literally start talking about tools. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, ciao ciao. let us take a look at permission modes. Okay, so permission modes is going to change the way Claude is going to work with you in terms of whether it will go ahead and do something or ask you. And so in the lieu of having permission rules, this is what it's going to do, okay? So the first is default. So standard behavior, prompts for permission on the first use of each tool. Then we have accept edits, so automatically accept files and edit permissions for the session. We have plan, basically, which is plan mode. This will make Claude analyze but not modify files or execute commands. And so you can have it where you can have it do a plan, but then you probably want to get out of that mode next step, right? So you wouldn't want to run that all the time. We have don't ask. So auto deny tool unless auto denies all tools, unless pre-approved via the permissions or some kind of allow rules, right? We have bypass permissions, so skip all permission prompts. Obviously, you shouldn't do that, but that is an option that you have. And if you want, when you launch up Claude, you can tell it what mode to start in, but you can obviously toggle away from it so you're not like locked into it. And when you're in the interactive shell, you can use Shift-Tab to change through some modes. Not all of them, but some of them. And the first one is default. You'll be in it because there'll be no message there. Plan will literally say plan mode, and then accept edit will be on accept mode. And as you hit Shift-Tab, it will toggle between those three. So there you go. All right, in this video, I want to take a look at permission modes. And we will get to tools in a moment here, but I figured this would be a very easy one to jump into. And so if we want to start up in a different mode, we can go ahead and do permission mode plan. That's going to bring us into plan mode. I do have one little issue here, so I'll just kind of fix this and update my old settings file here. So I can just stop and try this again. Okay, I'll just say like, can you read the player JSON data using JQ with for the HP? Okay, very worded, but it's in plan mode, so it shouldn't be able to execute it. So what we're looking for is to see what happens. What I really like is plan mode when we're using it over here because it'll open it a markdown file, and so that's a lot nicer. But here, I'm just carefully looking at it. So we have explore, so we can read it. We'll do bash, we'll run it. And we'll go down below. Find all visible files in the project. Do you want to proceed? So I'm assuming that this is the plan, right? Okay, but it's hard to see it because of the way we're looking at it. And we could talk about plan mode later on. But if we go over to here, I'm going to switch it over to plan mode. There we go. I'll just say, can you read the contents of player JSON and return HP? Maybe use the JQ tool. Okay, and so this way it's a little bit better. It'll make a markdown file. We're obviously covering plans sooner than I want to, but that's fine. It's okay. And so it should output a markdown file. It's in plan mode. Where's my plan? Where's my plan? I should have written a plan first. Wow. That's a screenshot we're going to take. There we go. Escape to cancel. So I'll take a screenshot for that for our plan stuff, but that is very interesting. Okay. All right, so that's kind of interesting that that was the result for the plans. But I mean, really it just came down to me showing you that this will enter you into different modes for that command there. And of course, we can change our setting for this. So maybe we'll do that as well as, I guess that is the second half of that part. I'm just looking for the list, the slide I have here, which will help me know which ones we can change to. Okay, it's somewhere here. There we go, permission modes. Yeah, I just can't remember the names of them. So there's also accepts edits, plan, and don't ask. So maybe try don't ask. Don't ask. And so it shows don't ask. What's interesting is that when we toggle on this stuff, it only toggles on those two. So we want to get to a mode that's not there, right? We have to do that. And as soon as we toggle out, we don't have it anymore. And I don't plan on running it in this video, but we'll go ahead and try bypass permissions, assuming I'm typing that right. And see, we get a big warning, right? And in fact, they have their own flag for that, and we'll cover that in a separate video because obviously it's a big deal. But yeah, so I guess it's just that one or two modes that we cannot access anyway. But it was interesting to find out that our plan didn't stick to its plan mode. So, you know, if you're expecting it not to muck with stuff, just be aware of that, okay? Ciao, ciao. Hey folks, this is Andrew, and what I want to do here is just show you how you can edit settings without, permissions without having to go to the settings local JSON. I mean, it's not really hard to go over here, but for some reason they have it in the IDE, so we'll go ahead and take a look here. I say IDE, I mean the CLI interactive tool. I keep saying IDE. So if we go ahead and type in permissions, what we can see is what rules are actually being applied. So if we go here, notice that there are no rules. So if I go here and we'll just add one, maybe we'll add one to bash here. And now that we have a great idea of all the types of tools we can use, maybe we say allow grep and allow web fetch, I believe it's called. Okay. And notice they actually just updated in real time. That's really cool. So we can go over here and we can kind of see what is being allowed, what's being denied. I thought I put, I have nothing under deny. So maybe we go here and say, was it notebook edit? Is that what it is? Does that one work? Yep, there we go. And so here, if we wanted to, I guess, add a new rule, we can go ahead and do that. So permission rules are tools, optionally followed by names. So maybe we go here and say bash, and then we say ls, just like they're doing that in that example. We'll go ahead and hit enter. And we can say where we want to save it. So that's kind of cool where you can get that there. And then you have the ability to add additional workspaces if you want to look outside of this current directory. So if we had a shared one, I don't think we need to show that. That's pretty darn straightforward. But we did see the reflection here of this information, right? Well, I guess we could. Why not? So what I'll do is I'll make a new directory. I'm just going to make a new tab here. And I'll go one directory back here. I'll call mkdir like shared docs. Okay, and I'm just going to open this up in a new one. Rules.md. Oh, sorry, like Flight Club rules.md. Rules. Don't talk about Fight Club. To bring your own shoes. Okay, so what we'll do is go back over here, and I'm going to go add another directory. Enter the path. Oh, that doesn't look like fun. And so I guess we're in home. Can I do tilde like that? Oh, we can. Great. So sites. And shared docs. So now shared docs is added to here. Let's see if that's been reflected anywhere here. So it's now been added. And I'll go ahead and hit escape. And so can you tell me the rules for Fight Club that we specified in our shared docs? Okay, so we're going to see if we can go out and check that other directory. So see, it's searching for that in our docs. There, it went to our shared docs, so now it's reaching outside of our repo, and there are those rules. So, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Nothing super exciting to write home about, but you have the idea there, okay? Sandboxing, or a sandbox, is a security mechanism for separating running programs for your operating system. And a sandbox provides a tightly controlled set of resources for your guest programs to run in: storage and memory, scratch space, limited network access, the ability to inspect the host system, disallowing or heavily restricting reading from input devices. So you can use sandboxes with Claude Code. And so if we were to type /sandbox, depending on our operating system, it's going to need certain programs installed because they won't be there by default. Since I'm on WSL2, it's asking for Bubble Wrap, SOCAT, and ecomp filter. And so it gives you the commands right there and you install them. And then once you have that, you'll be able to go into sandbox mode. Notice that we can have a few options where it says sandbox bash tools with auto allow, sandbox bash tools with regular permissions, or no sandbox. And so the reason why you'd want to use sandboxing is that it's very, very useful when you're running a session with dangerously skipped permissions, where you want a bash command that's not going to happen. So the key thing you have to remember about sandboxes is that sandboxes only apply to bash tools, right? So that is what we're limiting is bash. Okay, but technically it's bash tool. And so let's say we wanted to read something from the internet. If we used a curl command through bash, it would get restricted, right? But if we tried to use web fetch, it sits outside of the sandbox. It's a tool outside of it. It's not trying to utilize the host system directly. And so it can go out to the internet and grab it. So just be aware that it's about limiting bash tools. And so I'll definitely be trying to find a use case that is safe for me to use with dangerously skipped permissions. But there you go. Hey folks, in this video, we're going to take a look at sandboxing or just getting it enabled. So let's go ahead and get into the interactive shell where we have Claude. I'm going to go and type in sandbox. It's going to depend on what you are running, right? So I'm on WSL2. I never installed Bubble Wrap. I guess it just came installed on this Ubuntu virtual machine. But you can see it really depends on what it is that you want to do. So here it's giving you instructions saying do app install SOCAT. Okay, so I'll make a new tab here. We'll go ahead and do that. And so I'll just go up and say sudo app install. Okay, I guess it just wants that. And we'll just say yes, so it's going to get that installed. And it looks like there was one more. So here it says the ecomp filter required to block Unix stuff. And so we'll go ahead and do that separately over here. Okay, we'll hit enter. And it looks like it's been installed. I'm going to make my way back over to here. I'm just going to hit escape. We'll go back up to Sandbox. And it shows that SOCAT's not installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get out of this here. And I'm going to try this again. And just open a new terminal to try to get a new session. Okay, because maybe it doesn't know that it's installed. So go ahead and do that. And we will say Sandbox. Okay, and so now we get this mode. It's not even showing that we don't have anything installed. It's now showing us the steps for us to configure. So let's take a look at the modes we have. We have Sandbox Bash Tool with Auto Allow, Sandbox Tools with regular permissions, or no Sandbox. And then down below, Auto Allows, commands will try to run in the sandbox automatically, and attempts to run outside of the sandbox fallback will fail. So what we'll do is choose the first one. And so now we have it turned on. How do we know that it's turned on? I wonder if we could do like status line, show if sandbox mode is turned on. I had a status line earlier when we did the cost, but I ended up removing it right away. So if that's why you're wondering why you haven't been seeing it, it's because I keep fiddling with things. But we'll go ahead. I just want to see if I can add it there. I don't know if that's something that's available in the status line API, as I don't know what is being returned, and I never figured out how to, well, I just never put any effort to figure out what's being returned. But I'm just curious if we can get that information there or not. And so here, it looks like it's trying to grab is sandbox mode. So we'll go ahead and say yes. It looks like it's bringing back all the old code too that I had from when I did the last status line. Okay. And so your status line is now configured and to display a sandbox label to magenta when sandbox mode is active. I don't see it, but maybe we need to exit and re-enter here. So I'm going to go ahead, type in clear. We'll re-enter. Okay, I'm going to go sandbox. It says we're on right now. So it obviously didn't set it. And so maybe there is some trick to it. But I guess if we want to know that we have sandbox mode, we'll have to do that. I'm just going to check 1 second. I just want to see if we can actually get it in status line or not. All right, so apparently what it's piping to us is JSON session data. So apparently this is all the data here. So I'm curious, is there sandbox in here? And we do not see it. So maybe that's just not an option and it made it up. Okay, because this apparently is the data that's available to us, which is fine. And so when we want to check sandbox, that's how we're going to have to do it. Commands will try to run in sandbox automatically and attempt to run outside of the sandbox of the sandbox fallback to regular permissions. And so it just depends on what we have set for there. So I would think that if we want this to work, we would need to set something to deny it, right? So we'll fall back to regular permissions, explicit ask or deny. So my question is like, how do we set up a scenario to test that? That's what I want to know. So just give me a second. I'm going to go ask Claude off screen here and see if it can give us some code to put in our settings file to make this work, okay? Oh my goodness. It's so hard to make sense of whatever Claude is outputting for instructions. I guess that's why I'm here. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead into our settings local. It's saying settings JSON, but it doesn't really matter here. And I'm going to grab in the deny for deny all. So I'm going to grab this one here. Okay. And I'm going to paste it in. And the idea is that we're saying you're not allowed to curl, wget, look at environments or secrets. Okay. And so then for the sandbox, apparently we have configuration for that. It says configure to catch what escapes the deny rules. Allow unbox sandbox commands, false, networks, allow domains, GitHub, and whatever. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab this as well. Okay. Oh, we have it right here. So I'm just going to grab this command here. Okay. And we'll save that. It says testing the stage flows. So here we have Claude P run curl command. I mean, we shouldn't have to do this headless, but we'll just go ahead and grab it here like this. Also, I'm just going to stop. I don't know if those permissions will take effect immediately. They probably do, but I'm paranoid, so I'm just going to go ahead and restart that there. We probably actually could have just checked them, to be honest. So here I have run curl example.com. Okay, and so here they're saying this should hit the deny rule before ever reaching the sandbox. So permission to use bash with a command curl has been denied. This command has been denied. This is likely due to the sandbox restriction. Sorry. Okay, and so that's what we want to happen. So then here we have this test, the sandbox catching something, and the deny rules missing it. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that. And here, network requests outside of the sandbox. Did you want to allow this connection? So it's asking us if we want to allow it, and that's fine. I'm just going to hit escape here. We'll say yes, sure, that's fine. Okay. And yeah, we'll say yes, yes. Yes, yes. Okay, and so here we have a message coming back here. So the sandbox prevented the Claude CLI couldn't create its session directory due to file system restrictions. If you want to check SSH config files, you could run it directly in your own terminal. So the idea is that it's trying to check our SSH file, which is on the exterior on here. And so here you can see that working. So yeah, the sandbox is working expected. And so hopefully that was clear. I think it was, but I'm just going to revert these for now as I do not need these set. And I'll take these rules out as well, so I do not forget. And I'm going to go and turn sandbox off. And we'll say no sandbox currently. Now, should I have used this with dangerously permissions? Probably to show you, but I just also don't want to make a muck of anything. So I don't even feel comfortable using it. I'd probably have to launch up a virtual machine, and then we would try to do something destructive. I might do that. We'll see. But for now, I think we've shown how sandbox works, okay? I'm starting to notice at the beginning of videos, I keep saying, let us take a look at. So I'm going to try to break that pattern here. Bingo bongo. We are checking out dangerously skip permissions. I don't know. So dangerously skip permissions is a setting which will tell Claude for a session to stop prompting you to ask for permission. So basically, go run at it. And if you want to use it, you type in Claude, dangerously skip permissions. And you can even one-shot it with the headless task here, which we haven't talked about headless tasks, but that is something that you can do. You can set it in your settings.json. Of course, it is not SJ or SJON, it is JSON. It's just a spelling mistake there. And that is a setting that permission default mode, so bypass permissions. We saw it earlier. I just didn't say anything about it because I was waiting to talk about it now. let's have a serious talk about this feature because it can be dangerous. As it says, dangerously skip permissions. So why would you use it? But you probably shouldn't, because you're getting annoyed that when you walk away and you come back, your task is not completed due to a hanging ask for a permission request. So you should avoid using dangerously skip permissions because it says it's dangerous. A lot of folks say that they can avoid this issue by doing a lot of planning up front and then working their permission files, but it's just going to be different for other people in practice. Or one really strange thing, I don't know if this is a good thing, but some people, what they do is they take their Claude API key and they put it in a .env in their root directory, and they say that helps avoid a lot of waiting around for them. But again, that sounds bad to me. I don't know why, it just does. So when should you use it? When you are running a dev container in a VM and there's no concern of risk, you know exactly what it's doing, and it's hands off. It's in an automated system like a CI/CD pipeline, and hangup's going to cause you issues. It's very low risk stuff, well scoped. You know exactly what it's doing. It's linting errors across hundreds of files. It shouldn't be deleting files, right? So how you can make it safer? Well, at the very least, if you're going to use it, run it in sandbox mode, and this will limit the amount of risk on a host machine where serious damage could be done. And we will obviously talk about sandboxing, okay? All right, so I want to use sandbox and also the skip dangerously permissions command. And so I want to set up a dangerous scenario for us to do. We're not actually going to do anything dangerous, but this would be a good area of exploit. And I just want to prove to you that even if we have these two layers of protection, we can still run into a problem. Okay, so one thing is MPX. So MPX is a utility tool, part of the Node ecosystem. And what it can do is download and execute arbitrary code from the internet on the fly. Very often used to set up projects. So like MPX create React app, or MPX maybe like create or initialize a VTJS thing. So there's many MPX commands you come about, but the idea is that when you don't want to necessarily install a library, but you want it to execute and do something in one go. So even if you think you have it completely locked down, there are still trapdoors with MPX where those restrictions don't matter. So you might think, okay, well, how do I protect myself from this? Well, I can set up a rule on bash that denies MPX, right? That would be one thing I can do. And then we can enable a sandbox account, right? So we believe that those two things are going to protect us, right? But the only problem is that the sandbox cannot protect you when Claude actively reasons that the sandbox is the obstacle and decides to remove it. And so when you're using dangerously skip permissions and auto-proves, the sandbox becomes something Claude can simply opt out of whenever it completes a task. But also, it's just like when you have like 20 commands, you're going to miss that, right? So unless you're sitting there watching it, you're not going to see it. And the whole point of this thing is to be able to walk away, right? So the next lab we're going to do is I'm going to go and set up an EC2 instance. We're going to implement these two things, right? We're going to do this, and we're going to download an MPX thing, and we're going to see if Claude will go ahead and try to remove the sandbox. I'm going to tell you, first try, and it did it. So I'll show you here. Sandbox is enabled. I asked it to run an MPX command, and it wasn't able to do it because we blocked it. It did ask us and prompt us and say, hey, do you want to run this command? So I was able to do that, but right after that, I failed, and it just figured out, hey, if I disable the sandbox, I can get around that problem, and then it ran it. Okay, so this is where you can run into serious issues, but again, this isn't really a dangerous thing that we're doing, but we are pretending that we're executing a dangerous MPX, and we are either missing it or we don't have the guardrails in place to keep us safe, okay? Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, what we are going to do is go play around with Sandbox and dangerously skip permissions in a virtual machine. So generally, when you're using dangerously skip permissions, you're supposed to use it in an environment where you do not care if anything goes wrong. And so I think that running in a virtual machine on AWS is going to be a great place to do that. And so I'm going to go over to EC2. And what I'm going to do is launch up a new instance. Of course, you can do this anywhere with like Google Cloud or Azure, wherever you want, but I'm going to do it here. I'm going to go with Ubuntu because I want this to be an easy install. In fact, I'm pretty sure Amazon Linux 2 or Amazon Linux 3, whatever version it is now, is not going to be an easy install. I ran into problems with that. And technically, we need to have 4 gigabytes of memory. So I'm going to launch a T2 Medium. You can run it on something smaller, but I'm going to just go with the that there, as I don't plan to run this very, very long. But, you know, just be careful of costs there if you're concerned about it, because there is a cost associated with running that, especially if you forget to turn it off. I'm going to choose my EC2 SSM role. This is a role that I've created, I've had forever. And I'll just show you what it looks like if you need to create it yourself. And so all it is, it's a role, EC2 role here, and it has the key thing it needs to have is this managed instance core. So you can create that yourself by creating a rule and then choosing EC2 here. I'm not going to fully make it here, but I'll give you some of the steps. And from here, we'll go next. And then it's that SSM core. Okay, I type in core to get it half the time. Here it is. Create that, attach it. Okay, so what we'll do here is we have that attached, and we are ready to go check this out. So we'll just say sandbox test Claude Code. Claude Code. I got to remember what we're doing here. And so we'll go ahead and launch that instance. I do not need a key pair as we have, Sessions Manager, and that's how we're going to get into it. Okay, and so we'll give that a moment here to get spun up and get going, okay? All right, and so let's go take a look at that instance and see if it is spun up. So here we have 2 checks passed. I'm going to go over and connect to that instance, and we're going to use SSM Sessions Manager as the means to connect. I think it also lets us specify exactly how we're connecting to it, so that is really good, as AWS is always making changes on me here. Ooh, cool, we got shortcuts here as well. And so I'm going to say, who am I? I just want to make sure that I am the user I thought I was. Actually, I need to be the Ubuntu user. That's who I need to be. I wasn't paying attention here. So maybe here, oh, they let you pick it there. But what I need to be is the correct user, so I'll just say, I want to change over to it. So I'm just thinking about the command. It's sudo su -- Ubuntu, as that is the user that we expect on here. Let's go figure out how to get Claude Code CLI installed. It's a single line install, so it should be pretty darn easy for us to get going here. Here is the command. We'll go ahead, grab it, paste it in. Let me paste. Yep. And we get a little bit of mess up there, so I'll have to fix that. No big deal. Very easy for us to fix. And so that's going to go ahead and get the CLI installed. I'm going to make my way over to Amazon Bedrock. Actually, I don't have to do that at all. All I need to get this going is AWS credentials and just set a flag. So since this is set up, I guess what we would need is permissions for this to have access to Amazon Bedrock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new IAM role. I didn't think about this while I was working through it. But we'll make a new IAM role. And we'll just say like Amazon Bedrock access. So we'll go here and I'll say managed core, because I'm going to need that. Core. And, oh, there it is, Bedrock. We'll say Bedrock. Just a moment here. So I'm trying to think of like which one will give me access to it. I'm going to say full access here today. Okay, we'll go next. And this will be my Claude Code EC2. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and create that role. And so now I have a role that's going to help us out. So even though we have this installed, okay, we'll go ahead and say Claude, right? Oops. Here it says native installations exist, but not in your path. Okay, so what we'll do, I'm going to open this up here, and I'm going to, actually, I'll just run this one line because that will put it into the, into that's not getting it, into the, into our paths, okay? So I'll go ahead and paste that in there. There we go, we'll hit enter. And it probably won't take effect just now. Oh no, it did, because it has source here on the end, so it does repeat. And so I'll go ahead and hit enter. And so we have modes here, which is fine. But the thing is that we need to get the right role attached here to get Amazon Bedrock access, or this is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is go here to our instance, or to our actions. And what I'm looking for is the means to change the role. There we go. So I'm going to go here, and this will be, what did we call it? It had Claude Code in the name. There we go. And so this should still allow us to have access to Sessions Manager, but also Amazon Bedrock. So now what I need to do is I need to go and change a flag here. So we'll go ahead and just type in, I think it's under here, configuration maybe, deployment, Amazon Bedrock. And the command I'm looking for here is not that one, this one here, right? So they have some other stuff up here. Export Amazon Bedrock keys. We might need that one as well. Let me go back over here. I can't remember. I have a poor memory of this. Using API keys, view API keys. Long terms. So here's one that I generated and it's expired. So I say confirm here and delete it. And I'm going to delete an IAM user owning it if you are using it for any other purpose. Delete this IAM user. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, sure, we'll delete that. Well, I don't know, I'm about to make another API key, so I'm just gonna ignore that message for now. That's a little bit unusual. We'll go ahead, and this will just be one day. You can see they're being very sensitive here with Amazon Bedrock keys, and so I'm gonna grab that, go back over to here, we'll paste it in like that. Okay, so that's one being set. And then the other thing we need to do here is go all the way down here and set this value so that it knows. Okay, we'll hit paste. And so now I'll just type in clear. What we'll do is type in Claude auth status. And so it says that we can use Bedrock, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and type in Claude. And sure, dark mode's fine. We'll hit enter here, fine. I trust this directory, that's fine. And so I'm gonna say, what version of Claude am I using? We're just trying to confirm if we're having API token usage here. Excellent, so it is working. I just go ahead and exit out of that. I'm just hitting Control C to do that. And here, I'm just gonna make a new directory. We'll just call this hello world. Because I just want something to work within. Oops, let's go to here. I went to the home directory, and I'm just gonna make a new directory called hello world. And we'll cd into that. And so now we have a means to work with Claude. So I wanna enable sandbox mode. So we'll go say, yes, I trust this folder. I'm gonna type in sandbox, and there's a couple commands that we have to do. We need the sudo app install, the bubble, and the other one. So I'm just copying these off screen somewhere very quickly. Just give me a moment. Just trying to find a spot to put them. And this copy is very finicky. So go ahead and do that. Pasting them off screen here. We will grab the next one. I'm not sure if we can get npm installed that easily there. And then we will grab the next one here. Okay, because we're staging that scenario we had a bit earlier. I gotta copy this. Right-click copy. What a pain. Right-click paste. Okay, so I'm gonna do the first one. So I'm just going to hit Control C here, or get out of this. Here we go, Control C. Type in clear. And we're going to install bubble wrap. We probably need to do sudo in here. We'll try it anyway. Yep, we need sudo. That's gonna install bubble wrap. Okay, so that is now set up. We'll go ahead and we will install SOCAT, okay? That's another one. We'll go ahead and try the npm install, assuming npm is even installed on this machine. It is not installed, so sudo apt install npm. Sudo apt install npm. Okay, install npm Ubuntu. It might be sudo snap install. Just looking for it, old school way. Just give me the command, here it is. I don't really like taking it from somewhere like that. I guess we could install mvm install, which is fine. I'm trying to go to the source for instructions. When I install stuff, that's how I do it. We'll go back over to here. Do we have curl installed? We do. So they do have that export thing. I believe that's already appended, so it's already there. I don't have to worry about it. So I'll say, do we have npm yet? npm install node. I don't know what the versions are. So here we have that one. Yeah, like MVM, like Node version 20, right? So I don't know what the latest versions of Node is. Node, we'll say npm GitHub, because that way we can find out what the latest version is, right? So we're going to go in here. I'm looking for Node, and I'm going to go here and see we have 14, 20. Are we still in 20? I don't know. So I'll go back over to here, and what we're going to do is say like npm install 20. I'm going to see if it just takes version 20. I keep thinking there's something newer than 20. npm list. It's not there yet. Maybe source bash rc. npm. There we go. npm install 20. So that's going to install a version of Node for us. Okay, that's now installed. I'm going to go grab up here that last command we needed from earlier. And so that will install all those three things. So now, in theory, we should have all Sandbox stuff installed. That looks like it's installed. That red stuff makes it look like it's bad, but it's actually fine. I also notice it feels like a little bit cut off here on the bottom. There we go. I zoomed out a bit. And so we'll go ahead and type in Claude. And so now I'm going to type in Sandbox. So here we have Sandbox mode on. So it says Sandbox bash tool auto allow, right? So I guess the question is, we'll say allow, auto allow. The only thing we didn't do is we didn't deny npx. So that's something else we should do. So I'm going to do Control C to back out of this and hit escape. I'm just trying to get back to my terminal. And so something else that we're going to need is a dot, like a Claude file. So we're going to say make directory, and we'll say .claude. And then inside of that, I'm going to touch a new file called Claude, and this will be called settings.local.json. And then now I'm going to use Vim to do this stuff. And we'll go ahead and do that. And in here, I'm going to set my permissions. Okay. Permissions. Yeah, permissions. I don't like how the indentation is like giant here, but there's not much I can do about it. And so I only need a deny. So I'm going to say deny. And we need an array in here. And so this is going to be bash. And then this is going to be npx. Okay. And so in that sense, that should work. Let's see if there's anything wrong with their settings file. It seems like it's fine, right? So what is the contents? Oh, actually, what we can do is just go to permissions. If we want to check it, we'll go to permissions here. And then we go deny and see that npx is denied. So we should not be able to run npx. And so in theory, this should work. So, what is a popular, can you attempt to run npx for me? Like generate a project for JavaScript or something. There's a lot of JavaScript frameworks that use npx to download and run a binary. And so I want to see if it can execute it, right? And I want to see if it fails, because now we have two measures. We have Sandbox and another thing here. And so it's asking here, can you attempt? I'll try to generate it out. We have npm install y. It didn't use it. Look, it went npm init. Okay, so what I'm going to need is a very particular command. So I'm going to go here and just say, what npx tool can we use that will reach out to the internet and generate something? Make suggestions. Okay, so I'm not asking it to do something. I'm just asking it for an npx tool. I could look for one, I suppose. Is it npx or npm? No, it is. Okay. So yeah, this is what I'm looking like. Create React app. Great. So, great. So we'll say here and say try create React app. Okay. So npx should execute a binary. So npx create React app. We have an explicit deny in our local settings file. Okay. And so we'll go ahead and hit enter. And it shouldn't be able to execute. Okay. It looks like it can, though. If we go to permissions, while we're waiting here, we'll have to wait for it to queue up. But my expectation is that it can't, right? Because we have that limitation on it. So anyway, I'm going to go back over to, I'm just going to pause here and wait until it does something, okay? So what's strange here is it's still going, and we have 16 lines, but I'm not sure what it is. And so it could be generating here. I'm just going to hit escape because I don't know what it's doing. So I'm going to just hit Control-C here. I want to do an LS. And so it clearly is using my React app. And so I'm just going to go ahead and remove this really quickly. And I want to type my React, like I want to say, it should be npx my React app. And if we run that, we should get a command here. Let's go back up to here. What did it suggest? Oh, it's create, it's create React app, right? Create React app. And so what if we go here and just say yes, like that? Okay, so what I want is an example. I'm just going to go over to Claude and ask, like, over here. So I want to test, we'll go over here. I'll just say, like, I want to test MPX on my machine. I want one which will not require any prompts, but it will generate something. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just grab this one here. Well, hold on, what's Causeway? Oh, I know what Causeway is. But the only problem is that I don't want a bunch of this, but we'll try it anyway, because I think this one's animated, right? Causeway would be fun. No, actually, that's totally fine. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll copy this command. And it's not supposed to be able to use MPX. But I'm going to go back into here. And even though it shouldn't work, I'm going to run it anyway. Using bash, execute this. Oh, here's a better question. Are we even using the sandbox right now? I don't know. And here it's asking if we need permission for it, right? Which is strange because if it's denied, it should be not denied. So what I'm going to do is just hit escape. Let's go to permissions. Bash npx. Huh. Okay. 1 second. Let me just make sure I have the format correctly. All right, so I'm over here and I'm looking, right? And this is what it is. So maybe we need an asterisk. Maybe it's not enough to just say npx. I totally forgot to do that part. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to this rule, delete it. We'll add a new rule. We'll call it bash. Just another way we can do this, npx, and then we'll do asterisk. Okay, so, or we'll just do that because we still have to have a space there for it to work. And we'll update our local file. And so now we have that rule. So what we'll do is go back to this command here. And we'll run it again. And so it should get denied. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to hit escape. I just want to check our sandbox. Is there sandbox on? It's currently disabled. So we'll say with auto allow. And I'll go back here and say use with this. So now we have both sandbox and that deny rule on. And so here it says network request is outside of sandbox. Do you want to allow this connection? Okay. So we're going to say yes. Okay. But it should still fail. So there you have two layers. The sandbox is asking, saying, hey, it has to go to the internet because that's what happens in sandbox. And then the second part, it shouldn't be able to work, right? So here it says the command failed due to sandbox restrictions. NPM needs to write to the cache. Let me retry with sandbox disabled. See, it actually disabled it. We didn't even use that permissive thing, and it did it. That is so awesome that we were able to get that to work. And that is deserving of a screenshot. Just give me a moment, okay? That's awesome. But my point is that if you're running dangerously skip things, and it's not going to know this. So what I'm going to do next is I want to put that flag on. So we'll just go here and say skip. So disable dangerously. I mean, the way I notice it is the flag. So what I'll do here is I'll just cancel out here. And we'll go Claude and we'll say dangerously skip permissions. Is that what it's called? Let me double check. Dangerously skip permissions. If you don't spell it right, it's not going to work. So it says, Claude Code will not ask for approval before running potential dangerous commands. And I'm going to say, yes, I accept. Okay. And I'm going to make sure sandbox mode is on. I think it already is on for some reason. It is good. I'm going to go ahead and hit up until I get back to my previous command. And so now I'm going to ask it, we are not doing anything. It's just going to run here. And so it's going to go and attempt to do this. So I still have to ask this something. The one thing I'm surprised is like, why do I have to ask for the network out here? So we'll go ahead here and I'll just say, yes. And so it failed here, and it's going to find a way around the sandbox. It turned it off. Okay, and so it did that. The sandbox prevented npm caching partially initially. The cause of command executed successfully with that. So let's go take a look at sandbox again. Okay. And so there was still a prompt area, but if you're not paying attention carefully and you have like 20 or 30 commands queued up, you could see how the dangerous part will spin up there. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, we figured it out. So let's go ahead and we'll spin down our instance. So that was nice. It just worked. Doesn't always work, and sometimes I have to do this multiple times, but first try, we got the result that we wanted. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to make sure I get rid of my Amazon key here. So I'm just going to go back over to the API keys. Wherever that is, API keys here, and get rid of that key. Okay, we'll just delete it. I don't need it anymore. Bye-bye, key. I don't care about deleting the user right now, but that's about it, and I'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao, ciao. Hey, it's Andrew, and I want to tell you that you can use Vim mode in Claude Code. So if you like Vim and you're familiar with the Vim key bindings, you can just turn it on and you're ready to go. And so, you know, I like Vim, and so I'm using it. I don't think I ever show you how to do it just because I don't want to put people in the trap of Vim, but I don't know, it's there and it makes my life easier. And if you know Vim, then you can. If you don't know Vim, I got a full Vim course, right? So go check that out on my YouTube. But if you don't, you know, just know that this feature exists, okay? And tell your Vim friends. All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at how to configure which model we use. I feel that we've already done it somewhere, but we'll cover it again, as I have no idea where in the course we covered it. But anyway, you can change which model you're using with Claude Code. And so we have the option to just say, use this model for the entire session. You can also switch it during your session with the /model command. We can set what the default one will be loaded in our settings.json, and we can also restrict which models we are able to use. Not that there's that many models, but if you do want to restrict it just to haiku, we can do that. We'll just take a review of that here in a lab here shortly, okay? Hey folks, it's Andrew, and in this video, we are going to take a look at changing our model, okay? So pretty straightforward. If we want to start with a very specific model, we'll just type in model, and here I'll say haiku, okay? And so that should start us off with the haiku model. If we had a better status line, we could probably see that. I'm just gonna go to here and say status line, show what model we currently have in status line activated. Okay, and so that will just update our status line as I keep choosing to use it and not use it. And we'll give it a second here and see what we get. Okay, so now down below, we can see model Haiku 4.5, right? So that's what we started up with here. It's still working, but now we can see what it is. I just want to quit it. And I'll type in clear. Let's start it up normally, okay? Because it should go with the default here, which would be Sonnet, right? So we have Sonnet down here below. I know we can also see it in that other spot, but we'll go back here and check that again. Okay, and so now we see Haiku 4.5. If we want to switch it, we'll say model, and I'm going to switch it over to Opus. Okay, and so now we're using the Opus model. If we go over to here in our settings, I believe it was just model. Okay, and then here I'm going to make it start with Haiku, like that, and we will just stop this. We'll type in clear. We'll start this up again just with Claude. Okay, now we're on Haiku. And there was a way for us to limit which available models. I think it's just available model. Let me double check here. And it is. It's just available models. Okay. Those slides aren't just for you. They're for me too. They're my notes. Okay, so we have available models. And so here I just want to only put in Haiku. I think we have to do double quotations. It is, what do you call it? It is JSON after all. Okay, so I'm going to quit here, and hopefully I've typed that correctly. Whoops. Oops. And so we'll type in Claude. And so we'll start with Haiku. I'm going to try to switch now to Opus. And it's switched. So clearly there must be a problem here. Available models. So I'll go here. I just want to see if there's any mistake here. I don't think it understands what I'm asking for. Is my, there's a typo. Okay. I can't see the typo, but it is fixed now. Okay, so you might have seen it. I can't see it. I'm dyslexic, folks, so little typos I'll never see. We'll go here, and I'm going to say model, Opus, not available. So there you go. Pretty straightforward. We'll just save that, and that is, model configuration, okay? All right, let's take a look here at fast mode. So fast mode is a high-speed configuration for Claude Opus 4.6, making the model 2.5 times faster at a higher cost per token. And so in order to utilize it, we will have to use extra usage. So if I can get this to work, I will try it. And so you can see me experience it and then decide for yourself if this is something you want to use, okay? Hey, this is Andrew. In this video, I want to use the fast command. So apparently fast command will accelerate Opus. The only trick with it is that it's going to cost more at a different premium. I'm not sure if we can use in the description. I assume we can, but I'm going to go ahead here and type in Claude. And what I want to do is just switch over to the Opus model. Apparently I'm already in it, as maybe in my local settings, I had set it here before. I'm not sure why it entered into that mode, but I will go ahead and try this again. Well, we're already on Opus, so that's perfect. But if you're not on Opus, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this Opus. There we go. And we'll just say, can you tell me how to code Tetris? And all I'm trying to do is observe how fast it is. So we're going here, we're running it. I think it'll give us time to find out. Okay, and it's going at an okay pace. It doesn't feel slow, right? Right, it's producing, and so the question is, like, what is it going to look like when we do fast? So we'll just wait a moment here for it to generate out code and be back in just a moment. So it's finished. We don't have any time estimate for that. That's totally fine. And so let's go see if I can enable fast. So here I have to enable extra usage. So we'll hit escape, extra usage. And I'm going to do this through my Claude subscription. So it's going to open up in the browser. And we saw it earlier where it's just a toggle. So I'm opening up this link off screen here. And we'll go ahead and say authorize. And we'll copy this in here, paste it back in, hit enter. And so now we are logged in. And so I want to know, hit escape. Do we have extra usage on? So we say extra usage. Is it configured? I mean, I think it is. One thing that I can do here is I'm going to go to my Claude account. I'm doing this off screen for just a moment. I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go to my usage over here. I don't have extra usage turned on, right? So I assume that this would have to be turned on for this to work, but maybe that's not the case. Let's go ahead and try fast again. It's still asking this, right? So I just authenticated. I don't know why it's not working, but I'm going to go toggle it on right here because this is my other account here. I'm not going to do anything with that. I just want to see if it's on or not. And I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to just close that out, type in clear, go back into Claude, and I'm going to just type in fast here. And so it says high-speed mode for 4.6 is billed as extra usage at premium rate. Separate bill rates apply. Fast mode off. And we have $30 to $150 per monthly token. So we have an idea of that. Do I want to turn it on? I mean, we can try it, but the only problem is that I guess we would have to have this topped off. That's what I'm assuming. We'd have to top that off to utilize it, and it's showing that it gets built another thing, and it's only research preview. So since this is not a feature that is fully developed yet, I think what I'm going to do is just leave it at that, and we have an idea of how we can utilize it. I'm not really worried about costs. I just don't think there's any point in investigating this at the current moment, but I would imagine that we turn it on and it runs faster, right? There you go. Let us take a look at the effort command. This determines how many tokens Claude uses when responding with the effort parameter, trading off between responses, thoroughness, and token efficiency. So basically it's min-maxing or right-sizing efficiency versus cost versus outcome, right? And so here we have the effort and we have different modes: low, medium, high, max, auto. I think mine was always going to medium. I'm not sure what the default is, but I think it's medium. But we will walk through this and take a look. So the first is max. So this is the absolute maximum capability with no constraints on token spending, and it's Opus 4.6 only. So requests using max on other models will return an error. That will be something we'll test for. Tasks requiring the deepest possible reasoning and most thorough analysis. We have high. So it's very capable, equivalent to not setting the parameter. So that makes it sound like that this is the default, which is strange because I keep seeing medium where I haven't fiddled with this setting before. So I'm not sure what they're saying here when clearly I'm seeing medium, but complex reasoning, difficult coding problems, agentic tasks. We have medium, balanced approach with moderate token savings, agentic tasks that require a balance of speed, cost, and performance. Then we have low, so most efficient, significant token savings with some capability reduction, simpler tasks that need the best speed and lowest cost, such as sub-agents. And then there's auto, which is going to choose the best option. I wonder if it would include max, but I guess if you just exclude Opus from your selection or you're not using Opus, then you're going to be safely in this area. And so it seems like auto would be probably the smartest thing to set, but maybe there are cases where you don't want to do high. But yeah, there you go. All right, folks, let's take a look at the auto mode. So I'm going to go ahead and get into Claude here. If my UI would start letting me do that. So I'll go ahead here and reopen up terminal. Okay, and I'll go ahead and type in Claude. And we can see medium effort here on the right-hand side. Hopefully it shows up most of the time, but I didn't set it. So maybe it's set to auto, I don't know. We'll go over here to effort and we'll take a look here. So if we do a space, we'll get options. If we don't do anything, it's just gonna go to auto. All right, and even though we have it to auto, it still says medium over here, which is a bit confusing. So maybe auto is the default, I don't know. But what I wanna do is just test that the max effort does not work. So we'll go ahead here and we'll just say effort max. And so we are not on Opus, and I just want to then go ahead and say, can you review my code base? Okay, and so this shouldn't work because it should error out, right? So it's thinking with high effort. Notice that it's at high. So we explicitly set it. I hit escape here and escape again, but we explicitly set it to be that. So we'll go to our effort again. And I set it to max, right? And so basically, it's not erroring out, even though it said in the error somewhere else that it would, in the docs it says it would, but it would just fall back to high. And of course, things are changing constantly, so that kind of makes sense. What I'm more interested in is effort auto. I mean, all the other ones are pretty obvious. And so I would like to see what happens if we ask it something really simple and something easy. So I'll just say, how many characters are in the word dog? Okay. And so it went to 3. All right. How many are in the words cat? How do we know what it's using? That's another question. Because it's not showing me here. How do I know? And that's a little bit of a mystery, but maybe one way we can find out, and maybe this is not the best way to determine it, but it's going to be the way that I'm going to do it, is maybe we just need to go into our projects directory. So I wonder if there's a way for us to see this. So I'm going to go into Claude, oops, I'm going to say code, Claude projects. And then we want home Andrew, that's what it is here, sites, hello, tasks. And so in here, somewhere in here, we would have that conversation. So I can't really make sense of all this. I'm going to delete it out because I don't care. Delete, yeah, it doesn't matter. Delete, doesn't matter. And we're going to ask that question again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here. And I'm going to make sure what mode I'm on. Not mode, effort. Okay. And I'm going to say how many words, how many characters in the word dog, right? And so we ran that. And so I would think that would be something that wouldn't take medium effort, right? And so we go back over to here, into our other one. We'll take a look here. And so I'm looking for that effort value, if it's even in here, effort. Can we see it? So how would we know what effort it took? So that's really, really confusing. What if we go over to here and we'll open this up. We'll say effort auto. Okay, and say, how are you today? Or like, is today Friday? I'm just trying to see if we get that information anywhere. How do I know what effort level of Claude Code you're using? It's not displaying anywhere. Because that's what I need to know. Can I even ask it that? I could have swore I told it to use computing everywhere and we set the configuration, but I'm not sure why it's like that. And so it's not really, well, we'll give it a second here. I think the only way we'd know auto would be working is if we like explicitly, I mean, not auto, but if we wanted to know it was using something, we have to explicitly set it to a version. How to see the current levels? It should display next to your logo spinner. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I mean, like it keeps saying medium. It doesn't store it anywhere as far as I'm aware of. Oh, we can also set it as an environment variable. That's nice. So I would just say that auto is unclear at this time. Maybe it'll improve in the future. But I would say that we can explicitly set one and it should utilize that one there. We could compare other ones. I'm not that interested in doing it, but we'll go down here and just do it quickly. So we'll say low, and we'll just say, how can you code me a FizzBuzz? I mean, I must be able to do it, FizzButt. I'm probably not giving it a hard thing to do. And so we'll just say like effort medium. Might do the exact same thing. Maybe I'm asking it something too easy. I'm not being specific enough. Oh, look at this. One's actually trying to make a file. So maybe because it has a larger buffer, that's why it's trying to do that, right? So that's the only reason that I could have. We'd have to play around with it quite a bit to find out. But yeah, I mean, there you go. Okay, that's something.